is when I look at this wall, you know, obviously I gave it the dimensions to the wall, and I messed up with the floor. I think of what it could have been. You know what I mean? Because we had such great players here, but we never really had good courts ever. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we had all bad courts. We played on the side of buildings, on garage doors, you know, awful, you know, courts that were constructed. We had a lot of things to deal with, but we loved the sport so much that we were making do. But then when we finally got this was like a beacon of hope. You know what I mean? To see the wall going up, and because the high school was already done, but we were like, yeah, it's made out of wood. It doesn't have the same kind of bounce, and there was some flaws with it because the color scheme was really bad. It was a dark green and the blue floors. Like we were just as good as we were. We spent more time hitting the ball over the wall. You know what I mean? And we have really good players that were very consistent, but it was just so hard, you know what I mean? Because you couldn't really see the ball. But we still had a good tournament there in 97. So singles, actually. That was really good. But then when we got this, we were really looking forward to this. And it was always like we were going to make South Holyoke our new home, because we were really playing in the flats mostly. And Lawrence, those are the two neighborhoods that we played at the most, with the exception of, you know, the Dwight Street area that I played at a lot in the beginning, but it was on a garage door, you know what I mean? We played there. But the flats and Churchill neighborhood court, you know, which was the Lawrence School court, were our two homes, because, you know, basically really because they were the only two courts that we could really play at without really having a lot of issues. And then eventually the old one that was here, over there, was removed anyway. But I don't think people played there too much, even when it was new. They only played a little bit. Because what happened, they used to play on the side of over there by the Cass, in between the alley over there, and that was like they preferred that court. And then they made them a 3-wall court, and they were probably like, wait a minute, we were playing 1 wall. You made us a weird court, so they didn't use it too much. The South Holyoke people, you know what I mean? They played on the building over there, and then they stopped them from playing over there or something. What's weird is that they stopped them from playing over there, and what took place was that alleyway became one of the worst alleys to go down, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, damn, I'd rather have
the alleyway that goes on to Adam Street?
Right through, in between, yeah. You know, and you know, even when they stopped, I mean, we were still going back there, you know what I mean? It wasn't that bad. I mean, things changed all over the place. I can't just blame that they took Handball. That's not what it was. It was other things that were going on to the thing with that. But what I was saying is that we were gonna make this basically our new home, kind of, because the flats was still up, but it was in poor condition, and we were gonna, okay, we'll play in South Holyoke. Mo had moved to South Holyoke on top of where Manny's Market was.
Did the Parks ever fix the problem with the flats handball courts?
No, they never did. And what we got instead was we got the high school, which I was looking forward to, but and then, you know, I was told that it was a funding issue. You know what I mean? That they made it out of wood because they ran out of funding, so they just wanted to at least get something there. But he kept his word. I mean, I'll give him that. With Chesky, Phil Chesky got this built the following year. But when it was built, you know, it was built it was put up in 97, but it wasn't actually done until 98. So we seen when they built the hole, they put the wall. The only thing that was standing in the whole entire park was the wall. So I would just stand right there, just watching it, like, yes, you know, I'm gonna get it. Finally, close to the street, everybody's gonna be able to really take it to another level now, because we already had going to Kennefit and Calhoun. Kennefit has a new court. We always felt like, hey, wait a minute, we're a lot stronger than the Springfield crew at the time, you know what I mean? Not that they weren't good, because they were very good, but we felt that we were stronger and more into it, you know what I mean? More universal players, but we were the ones that had the worst courts. So we're like, they had Calhoun, although it had issues there too, but it was still like a single wall, you know what I mean? Like, it was what we were looking for, more or less. And we were stuck playing on a 3-wall court.
And what are the problems with this particular location?
Not the location, the way they made the court. They made the wall with the right size, but they didn't make any running space. And it was far worse before. This kind of built up a little bit, believe it or not. Or not, actually, you know, that some of the layout changed. And that mound is weird, like they almost created it. They put 2 volleyball courts over there. But what was happening is all the sand from the volleyball court, not only did you have the running space, that sand was coming down onto the court. So when we tried to play a couple of times, we had the sand, we had no running space. That fence was as tall as that one there, which if you think that's maybe 4 feet, maybe 3.5 feet. That little fence was our back fence. Just look at that. Look at that street. That was our back fence until only about 1.5 years ago.
And then we advocated for the 15-foot fence. And still the ball makes its way down South Canal Street.
And look at the gate.
And
they closed that.
yeah.
But that was only 1.5 years ago.
And then there's grass in the back, and there's still a hole where they put a trash receptacle.
So, you know, it's natural. You want to keep playing, so you find a better place to play. You know what I mean? And, you know, we ended up going to Springfield. We didn't want to because we were from here. You know, not that I didn't have no roots to Springfield, but I did have roots to Springfield. And as weird as that, our players, some of them eventually moved to Springfield anyway. You think of Mo lived in Springfield, Juan Nunez lived in Springfield. You know what I mean? There were 2 of our key players, even Angel Cicero, he moved to Springfield. You know what I mean? But he moved to Springfield earlier, and then he came back to Holyoke. You know what I mean? But he moved kind of back and forth. Ed moved to Springfield. The other Ed moved out of Holyoke. A lot of people ended up moving outside of the city anyway for different reasons, you know. But most likely, but if they had the good court here, we still would have came back here. You know what I'm saying?
And what were your fondest memories of Holyoke Handball?
I would say the flats, but I did have some fond memories playing all around Holyoke. You know what I'm saying? When we started playing at the Y, that was a lot of fun too, learning the 4-wall, and that was fun. But I'd say the flats and Lawrence School was a lot of fun too. I played a lot at Lawrence School. When we all parked our cars inside there, I didn't have a car at the time, but I'm saying, but we parked in there. Actually, I kind of did, but I didn't. But it was a lot of fun when we were able to park inside there. We went to Northampton. That was fun too at first because it was in great condition. But Holyoke was really the flats. The flats was everything. You know what I mean? For handball for us. I did enjoy playing at Calhoun though. I had some fun memories in Springfield at Calhoun. But the flats was really it. Lynch was fun, but it was you know, really hard to play on too. It wasn't real.
So we're here beautifying the handball courts at Jackson Park, touching up the handball walls.
Another fond memory of playing besides White Street on the gas and electric building was on the church, the Perpetual Church. Catholic school that was there had a wall on a building that some other people made into a court. And there was a good competition, but there was a lot of good play there though. You know what I mean? There was a lot of good play. We played there, you know, pretty much it had shade. It was a really good place to play. But then they stopped playing there. They fenced it off. They didn't want people playing it there no more. You know what I mean? I mean, I guess, you know, it was private and stuff like that. But they were playing handball, so that's the thing that's kind of strange. They were playing handball. They weren't doing anything wrong. I mean, it's stuff that people worry about from back then, breakdancing and handball, is kind of crazy. So what they have to deal with today in places like Holyoke, Lawrence, and the other things, it doesn't mean that they didn't have issues back then. But compared to what the people are doing, it wasn't like the shootouts that they are now. They weren't all the overdoses like they are now. The kids, you know, they got people that maybe smoke, you know, weed or something like that, which is, I'm not condoning that. I'm just saying that that was like the worst you really got. You know what I mean? You got some fights, but it was really a fist fight. But you didn't really get like all the stuff that's going on now. I mean, it was nothing like that. You know what I mean? Like, so you know, the trade-off of people playing on the side of a building and people not wanting you there, it's kind of crazy. You know what I'm saying? Even if some of the people have, you know, maybe a little rough around the edges, but they're doing something constructive and positive. So. This court just lost its potential, but we're still trying to get the potential out of it because it's not over. You know what I mean? I mean, it's still there. The wall's still here. If they made these little changes, then it would be usable. And all we were asking for is just running space here. You got to be able to run on Yeah, you could run up to the grass, but if you're playing, believe me, you're gonna. One player that gets injured affects a group of players, especially if it's a main player. But everybody, because you're looking for that player that you might be the ride for somebody. You might be the person that just kind of gets everybody to play. So if that person's injured and not playing, then it affects, you know, some of the other players. So that's why we don't want our players. One, we don't want our players getting injured, period. But two, we don't have that many players that we can afford to have somebody get injured, and then it has a ripple effect. Believe me, when something happens to one player, sometimes 5 or 6 players that they're their buddies or family members, they kind of slow down. You know what I mean? Sometimes we've seen that a lot. You know, that sometimes people just kind of go for the camaraderie they get with their family or friends when they play, which is another great thing about playing. If you play for the fun part or even the competition, you still like to be within your, you know, your group, your family, or, you know, they kind of enjoy that. So that's why we don't want our players getting, you know. The only thing though I say, like when we went to Worcester, they had a way worse court than this, and they were using camp straws, and their outline was right outside the line, and their long line went into dirt, but it went and had a drop. So it had a drop and a light pole there, and it had sidewalks. Had they had this, they probably would have been happier. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like we can't find a way to use it. It's just that there are risks involved. Even this year, although it's to honor the person, Jackson, you know, Jim Jackson, it still should be moved. You know what I mean? It is far away, but believe me, that, you know, people, they underestimate the athletes, and sometimes you don't even have to be a top level player to take a few steps and run into this. This is only, I look at it, this is 3 strides. 1, 2, 3, and I'm already here. You hit an angle shot, you're trying to get a crucial point. You might hit the ball here, and your follow through will continue right onto this rock. So there's little things like that. Although this is separate though, this is like probably an easy thing to fix, but this is really the running space. It should have been paved. It didn't make no kind of sense.
10 feet of running space on each side is ideal.
Yeah, even if, you know, like I said, 10 is ideal, but even if it was freaking 5 feet, like let's say Providence only has like 4 feet on the sides, you could still run off the sides. You know, there's been many courts that only have like a little part, you know what I mean, 3 feet, 4 feet, but you can't have no running space, because then there's high risk of getting injured. You get injured, the sport is tough enough as it is, you know what I'm saying? Like people don't realize how grueling the sport really is when you intensify and you're really playing, and you feel it. Your whole entire body feels it, your mind feels it. I mean, everything, which is the good thing, the beauty of it. What's this up there? What is that, gum?
Chicle.
Okay. That's one of the things I used to hate. It was a bigger problem before, but I always hated gum. You know, like on stepping on it. Step on it.
I felt like a mouse stuck on those sticky pads.
Oh, yeah. No, but I just hated it. That was a big problem before, because I think, for whatever reason, I think there were more gum. It's talking about gum now, but it was a problem actually, because it was ending on the courts. I just remember that. I remember playing, and I was like, did I just step on? You know, so when people threw their gum, they don't throw gum around. You know what I mean? It was like sometimes covered. And
not on the court floor.
I always had to scrape gum off the courts. You know what I mean? That was always a problem. There is some, you know, you can see it, but it was so bad before.
Good job, Will.
I gotta see, it's weird, like people don't realize with paint, when you say a gallon would cover a wall, this takes about 1.5 gallons, because it's a big wall. So a lot of times
it is 16 by 20.
16 by 20, it takes the paint. So I gotta tap into the other can. I gotta see if I'm gonna be able to.
And you know what's good about this wall? It has no waves.
No, this is a really flush wall.
They did a great job on the wall.
That's what I'm saying.
Even though it is on like an incline.
Yeah, the incline is bad, but if it was fenced in properly and had the perimeter running space, this would have been a court that even people from other places would have gravitated to, and I would have continued running tournaments and all that. I try to do it. We try to do it with the high school and all that, but it was always an issue. People don't really they don't like the wood too much. I mean, I don't blame them. I mean, it's not perfect. Once you get the true balance of concrete, it's hard to go back. You know what I mean? Like, you'll play on it, but you know that there's something better, and you know that it's not right. You're always gonna feel that. Like, but it doesn't mean the high school is still very usable. Nobody's saying that it's not. But the other problem with that is that the maintenance has is different, because that plywood is it rots after a while. It'll rot. So you always got to worry about rotting wood every like 5 or plus years. And they have seams, so you get funny bounces. So you're not dealing with just a warp wall. You're dealing with a lot of funny bounces. And like I said, you have the color scheme is bad already at the high school. So you got the sun, you have the color scheme, and you have the funny bounces on the wall.
The purple floors.
So, and the thing is, the sport is already a game of inches. You know, if people are trying to make you miss, they're putting hooks and cuts and punches and everything
spin.
on, you know, everything on the ball, right? Out of positioning you. So you don't need other obstacles. You know, like I said, like here, we're playing and then we had the sand coming down. So on top of already somebody that might have a big serve and you got to run off the court, you're slipping into beach sand that was put for the volleyball that they removed about 10 years ago. And so there was always something, you know what I mean? And not to mention every shot went into the street. Literally 90% of the shots went into the street when we played here. This is back in '98 when we made the attempt. I said, we can't. The fence was up to here. It's crazy. This is probably yanked out the old, but it was the same height. This was our back fence. How can you play like that? It makes no sense.
Can
The
you
ball
stand on
bounces.
the hole? That's right
No,
back
yeah,
there.
this is the problem too. Yeah, they put a trash can here, which is done with good intent, but when you're playing, you got to stop repeating the mistake. You got to realize that people run back. It's like I don't think that people. That's what I'm saying about people not understanding the handball player or the athlete or the game. I mean, we sometimes run more than a basketball and a tennis player combined sometimes, believe it or not. I'm talking about off the court because we don't have a racket to help us get to the place. We don't have that, so we got to make sure we run to that wall and return it with every effort. We don't have the little flick to get a net that's going to rebound the ball. You have to actually take a full swing and get it back to the wall. So that's why all of the area around the court is crucial for a handball player too. I think it's crucial for tennis on other too, but they don't have the same problem. They constantly always give them the running space. So it's not downplaying tennis.
All right,
I know
let's
tennis
finish
is-
your job there so you could go to the other side of the handball wall. Thank you. This is Nancy and Will Ortiz from New England Handballers Association Inc. And you could reach us via email at nehainc, NEHAINC 747 at gmail.com, or you could go to our website nehainc.com, or check us out at our Facebook page under our logo or our close group. Let William get busy here and have a great day. Let me get him at a good angle. Not booties up.
Booties up.